most every major studio that you've heard of. Tyler Perry, I did 2 movies for him last year. I've got another one coming up this next week that we're starting.
Hi, and welcome to Kelly, where we talk about life, your life and my life, and through Kelly, we hope to inspire. I have Aaron Cujo Cooley on the show today, the Atlanta sound guy. So we're going to talk about sound, why sound is important to a production. And you have worked with Tyler Perry. You've worked with
most every major studio that you've heard of. Tyler Perry, I did 2 movies for him last year. I've got another one coming up this next week that we're starting. I did some sci-fi show last year with name of that show was Superstition.
Okay.
And most recently I was on Insatiable doing some work with another sound mixer over there. So yeah.
So you know what you're talking about.
I try to.
Right. So I discovered you on a thread that was on the Atlanta film community, and you were telling sets, hey, if you guys are not sure about sound, I will come out and I will help you. And I was like, this is such a great topic, because if your sound is not good, your production suffers immensely.
Yeah, if you talk to any film festival operator or any individual, any producer that screens short films to try to find new content, you'll find that the number one thing that kills a new production is bad sound. They do not care what it looks like if it sounds bad. They just goes in the trash pile. Next topic, and that happens a lot more than it should.
Yes.
A lot of independent filmmakers that are trying to make a name for themselves and grow a new brand will spend a lot of money to make sure they have great cameras and great lenses and great lighting, and they will make something look beautiful, and they will shortcut on the sound, and then they've delivered nothing.
So what are ways that people can, what do they need to invest in to make sure their sound is good?
The number one thing is a really good location.
Okay.
Controlling environmental noise is a huge component of getting good quality audio. The second thing is technique. You can overcome gear sacrifices with good technique. It's not necessary to always spend $100,000 worth of gear to get really, really great sound. Of course, the better your project, obviously, the more money you'll have invested in it. But if you're doing a small project, you can get by with, a couple $1,000 worth of sound gear and still get pristine audio if you control the environment and you have good technique. And a lot of small filmmakers fail to realize that. And that's one reason why I offered to help these people is they can't afford to pay guys like me or girls like me that have long histories in the sound world. Our rates are just too high.
Right.
And I realize that.
Right.
But I can come out there and show them if you do X, Y, and Z, you can produce a product that the producers will not throw on the floor. And that's really my goal.
So when you're talking about technique, what does that mean?
Mic placement, for wireless mics, a lot of people are using wireless mics, and a lot of times getting that microphone properly placed or placed inside of clothing that doesn't rustle and make noise,
right.
That's a big deal. The other thing would be to make sure that the boom microphone is being held by somebody that actually knows how to operate the boom microphone, because if it's not pointing at the actor that's speaking, there's no point in having it. It's not something you can just throw in somebody's hands and say, here, do this today.
Right.
Any more than you could do with a camera operator.
Right.
There is a skill involved. Sadly, we see a lot of ads on the internet for somebody to come out and grab sound. I need somebody to grab sound for me. And it's not picking up a donut.
You right away know that that's a bad word.
it's not picking up a donut. It's actually a skill. It does evolve over time. People get better. Some people never get good enough at it. But that's how we learn.
Right. Exactly. Like anything else.
Like anything else.
So I have for you some jelly beans.
Oh, jelly beans.
For coming and being a guest on our show.
Awesome. I love the black jelly beans are the best.
Yes, and this is a wonderful time to get jelly beans. So
Yeah.
You like the black ones?
I do. They're licorice flavored. They're great. Everybody else hates them, and I was like, great, save them for me.
I like them. So if people don't fix their sound on set, what are they looking at in post-production?
At least doubling or tripling the cost of getting your sound. Number one, it takes a great deal of time in the edit bay just to try to clean it up with any kind of editing software. If the sound is so bad that it needs to be replaced with ADR, now you're talking about an entirely new recording day, paying your actors a whole nother day to come in, and then hoping that they can duplicate the performance that was in the field on the day of acting, which almost never happens.
Right.
The room doesn't sound the same. The space is not the same size. The performance is not the same. The microphones may or may not be the same. Feeding off of the other talent to get them in their place, those are not the same. So the performance or the repeat performance will always suffer. And unless you are very, very highly skilled at editing all that, matching it all as a dialogue editor, people will pick up on it right away. I'm sure you've watched any number of movies where you can tell where the dialogue has been replaced.
Yeah, I'm in the screening room at Get Connected a lot,
Sure.
where they just screen independent films, and that is the one thing that you notice. First off, is the sound and how important that sound is to the picture. Unfortunately, not everybody. A lot of people are just experimenting with things, and things are a learning curve. And sometimes your first film is one of your biggest lessons.
Sure.
So
There's a saying, and I suppose there's some scientific validity to it somewhere, and is that sound is 70% of what you see. So in a film, if what you're hearing is not lining up with what you're seeing, your brain is automatically disengaged and you will not hear the story. You're constantly trying to figure out what's happening in the screen, so the story is completely lost.
right.
I tell new filmmakers quite often that if they'll just simply go to YouTube and start just random scrolling through YouTube, pick anything, and watch how long you can stay with a particular video if the sound is bad.
Right.
And it's usually under 10 seconds.
And that's how long people are going to stay with your video
Yeah.
or your movie or whatever that you're good. And that's great, because I was going to ask you for advice to give somebody. So that's great advice. Anything else that...
Don't go out and try to buy a whole bunch of new sound gear for your short film. The technology is changing so fast. There are new FCC regulations that came into play for sound people over the course of the last year and will now affect us going forward. T-Mobile bought up a bunch of the wireless control spectrum, and there's a lot of changes happening.
Oh, wow.
So whatever gear you buy now may be illegal to use in as little as 24 months.
Really?
It could be illegal to use even sooner if T-Mobile fires up their new spectrum, say in the Atlanta area.
So how do you know what to get?
Go to a professional shop like True Audio or Gotham Sound Atlanta, and they can guide you in the right direction on which gear to buy if you're going to buy. But I would also tell young filmmakers to rent gear.
Okay.
It's always cheaper to rent it. Then you can send it back when you're done. And you can afford to rent really good gear before you can afford to buy even bad gear.
Right.
Bad gear costs more than good gear to rent.
Okay. Yeah, and especially if they're not planning on doing it.
If they're not going to be a sound guy for the rest of their life, there's no reason to buy it.
Right.
No reason to buy it at all.
Right.
So yeah.
Good advice.
Yeah, that's what I would tell them. That's
Thank
what I'd tell them
you.
all. Yeah.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for this little bit of a for this tidbit for the gold. I call these little pieces of we're offering gold nuggets to our audience. And each guest that I have on brings a gold nugget, and you just brought a gold nugget. So
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
So look, if you are a small filmmaker, you're making an indie film, get a hold of me or some people like me who will come out and help you, give you the tips and tricks. I'm not going to do the sound for you, but I will tell you and teach you a little bit about how to do it yourself and make your movie not be bad.
And wow, that's an offering. People need to pick you up on that. Where do they find you?
AtlantaSoundGuy.com, or you can find me on Facebook at Atlanta Sound Guy on Facebook.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you guys for being here on Kelly. We hope this segment inspired and educated you. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below and we will answer them for you. Thank you.